This is everything I made, read, and wrote in April. We're gonna start off so strong. I made this Pegasus pin puppet. What makes it a pin puppet is these movable joints are typically made out of something called a split pin. I just used wire to make mine because I didn't have any of those pins around my house, but yes, she can fly. She's made out of cardboard. I think she is the most graceful creature to ever land on the earth. And I think she's so cutie pie. She's so sweet. I love her. So that was something really exciting that I made this month that I'm feeling really proud of. I also, as as normal, made a lot of buttons. This one says "You and I are Earth, 1661." This is a plate, like a obviously very old plate, and I just love the phrasing of "You and I are Earth." I want to get this tattooed. I think it's so beautiful. I made like 50 of these buttons that say I heard the tea stand, which the tea stand is a project here in New York that my friend Miles organizes that serves free tea across the city. And I was a part of a project this month called Perpetual Brew, where free tea was served at Maria Hernandez Park every single day of April. And so I took over a couple of those days or like did a shift and made buttons for the days that I took over. So made a bunch of these. This one is really silly and I made it super quickly, but it just says Indie Sleaze will never die. Been listening to my old iPod with like Arctic Monkeys and the XX and all of those sorts of bands, and I've really been feeling indie sleaze in my heart. And then the last one I made this month, this is an old sort of like poster or banner from the 1930s for a circus act, and it says, "Strange girls, can they marry like other girls, have children, be as happy as they are? Why were they born?" And I just think it's so silly. I love it. It's like I feel that this is so relevant to my life. I got into making stamps this month, so I made a couple out of like old erasers. You can kind of tell these used to be llama erasers, and I just never used them. So this was the first stamp I made. It's just a swan, and then, oh, I also have a peace sign and then this swirl. I have them stamped in my journal already. This was whoops. This was the swan one. I think this was the final product. And then I think I stamped oh yeah, here's all of them together. Whoa. But yeah, the swan, the peace sign, and the swirl. And then this is another one I made. This is just a flower. And then I wonder, oh yeah, this last one is a circus tent, which I kind of want to attempt again. I don't love this sort of Y shape that's going on, so I might tweak it a little bit. But I've really been into the circus this year, and I was feeling I really wanted to get a circus tent stamp, but the stamp store I usually go to didn't have that, and so I would have to get it custom made and things of that nature. And so I figured I would just try making my own, which I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, this was like the fourth stamp I ever made, so it's not too shabby. And then this is an honorable mention because I finished it today, and today is May 1st, but I'm really proud of it. This is a poem on a stamp. So you obviously can't really read it, but I typed this up on I typed this poem up on my typewriter and then sort of like traced over it with pencil and then transferred that onto this just rubber material and carved all the letters and then made this stamp. I'll read that later. I think I'm gonna do like all of the reading or all of the writing things at one time. Whatever. I think this is the last sort of crafty thing I made this month. This is just a sketchbook that I got at a thrift store, and I just covered the cover of it. And this is from the Bible. It's like a psalm. A psalm? Is that what they're called? A passage. This is from. It's also hanging on my mirror, so that's what I'm looking at. E- Ecclesiastes. I actually have no idea. I used to be religious, and I still have no idea how to pronounce that. Ecclesiastes. Who cares? Literally, who cares? Anyways, it says, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For in the realm of the dead, where you are going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom." And I just really like that. And then this is obviously the stamp. These are Lisa Frank stickers. If anybody remembers, this is the picture that's on my ID, and a bug and dandelion stem. So covered this bad boy. And yeah, things I have been reading. I read 5 books this month. I only have 3 of the physical copies with me right now. I finished two Shirley Jackson books, the first being The Haunting of Hill House, and this is We Have Always Lived in the Castle. Loved both of them. I don't typically read sort of spooky, eerie books, but yeah, I loved her writing style, and I definitely want to read some of her other ones. I actually pretty sure I watched this as a series like years ago whenever it came out. I feel like it came out in like 2018 or 2019 or something. I have no idea. But anyways, I'm pretty sure I watched it, but I still didn't remember anything that happened. So it was nice to not have any spoilers because it was a really good book. And same with this one. And then I finished Mary Oliver's Devotions. She just is she is such an amazing writer, and I have had this book for so long, and I picked it up, I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago, and got about halfway and then just kind of forgot about it. And then I re-picked it back up this month and read it from start to finish. And it's amazing. I mean, she really is so connected to the earth. It's beautiful. I underlined a bunch of stuff, but this one that comes up says, "The years to come, this is a promise, will grant you ample time to try the difficult steps in the empire of thought, where you seek for the shining proofs you think you must have. But nothing you ever understand will be sweeter or more binding than this deepest affinity between your eyes and the world." I mean, like, come on, that's amazing. Kind of going along a similar line of relationship to the earth, I also finished Northwoods by Daniel Mason. That was another book I've had floating around for a while, and I started it and then put it down for a couple months, but I finally finished it this month, and that was pretty good. And the last one is The Night and the Moth, which is a fantasy book. This year I'm trying to not read as many fantasy books because it kind of was taking over my life the past few years. So this is my first fantasy book of the year, and it was really good. I mean, I finished it in a day because for me, fantasy books are kind of like watching TV. You can just turn your brain off. It's really nice. So those are the books I read this year. I'm also making my way really slowly through Clarice Lispector's Complete Stories. I have only read one of her books, and I absolutely fell in love with her and just the way she writes. It's just so dreamlike. So I'm getting through that. And I have very barely started Heritage in the Body, which this is one of my partner's professors, and he was gifted this book by her. And so he read it, told me I would probably like it. So just barely started this. And then I'm also planning to read this month the selected poems of Rene Maria Rilke. I don't know how to say his name to be frank, but gonna read this. And I think those are all the things I've read this month or am planning on reading. And next, I'm getting into writing. I this year I My goal is to fill out this big sort of like sketchbook journal I have with poems. I really have gone in and out with my poetry journey in life. And then I got a typewriter earlier this month. She's right there. She's beautiful. For only $5 at a thrift store, and I fixed it up. So I guess that was another thing I did, a project. But yeah, fixed it up. She works beautifully now, and it's just felt much more aligned now to be writing. I don't know, like the form of writing on my typewriter is feels much more natural to me for some reason. Like it flows out of me easier. So I've been writing a lot, and I got this sketchbook a while ago because it was like $5 at an artist supply store, and I was originally going to turn it into a scrapbook, and then I decided against that. So now it has become my poetry book for the year. So on the cover, I just have Poems 2026, Ziggy V, New York City. So, and then, oh, on the back, this is another poem by Mary Oliver. This one is titled The World I Live In. And it says, I have refused to live locked in the orderly house of reasons and proofs. The world I live in and believe in is wider than that. And anyway, what's wrong with maybe? You wouldn't believe what once or twice I have seen. I'll just tell you this. Only if there are angels in your head will you ever possibly see one. I just love that. I think to dream is to believe truly, and it's so important for us to encourage dreaming that sort of form of play. But yeah, I figured I would read a couple of my poems, not all of them, but the first one I wrote on my typewriter, it doesn't have a title, but I wrote it earlier in the month, and it goes, in the shower sounding of 1,000 crickets, huddled in a grass field, there lies a girl. Forsythia blooming, pathways unfolding, spring onions standing at attention, she lifts her head, listening to the pine creaking over story. Who will wait to watch the magnolia bloom but her? Who else shall witness the woodcock's dance underneath the neon shoots of the willow? Breath suspended in anticipation, she rests her head. I really like that. I wrote that when I was upstate and I was taking a shower in my partner's mom's apartment, and yeah, the shower just sounded like a bunch of crickets, and so it inspired that poem. I have another one that I wrote for the tea stand for the zine that they're going to release. And so I'm not going to read that one, but yeah, I wonder which other ones. Oh, this one, we had a crazy storm here, I think last weekend, I want to say. And it was raining all so hard all day. And so it made me think about just the rainstorms in Arizona, which is where I'm from. And so I wrote this one, which is titled, My Favorite Part is the Smell of Creosote Wafting Through the Valley. I miss the summer monsoons of my childhood, how the warm rain felt flirting with my skin, the density it carried to bring life to dry land. I cannot claim yet to be of the same ilk or knowledge of the cactus wren, who finds such easy joy in your pools of creation, in your all-encompassing embrace. Does it feel sweeter than the sun, gentler, less familiar now than it used to be? I wonder if the young wrens are surprised by their first rainfall, if the saguaro remember theirs. What weight the soft rain must feel, what responsibility. How easy it is to forget her song, to forget whose dreams she carries. Yeah, I mean, I love Arizona. I think it's such a special place. I mean, it's so like I don't know, the desert is so magical. It's unlike anywhere else. You know, I I feel so cheesy saying that sometimes, but when I meet other people that are from the Southwest, it's like an instant connection. Like you just learn a different way of resilience and a different way of moving through the earth when you're in such like a harsh climate, I guess. But yeah, and then this one is the one that I wrote and turned into a stamp, and it says, I want to be worthy of this life. I want to have something to offer. I will crawl on my hands and knees to prove myself worthy. I will, really, I will. Do you want me to? So I just put it into, I like stamped it. Well, it's really bright. I stamped it and then you can't really see. Oh, there you go. Down below it's on the typewriter. But yeah, maybe I'll read one more. I'm trying to get more comfortable with sharing my art around or just kind of claiming that, I'm an artist in ways. I think it's hard because I participate in so many different forms of creation, and so it doesn't necessarily feel like I can claim being an artist rather than just claim being a crafter, Like I feel comfortable calling myself a crafter, but it's I don't know. It feels disconnected to call myself an artist for some reason. I think it's because in my brain I have this idea of what it is to be an artist and that like everything you do has to be dedicated to that. And I don't know. I think everything I do is dedicated to being the most loving person on earth. Like I don't have like much other goal being here other than to live all the experiences of being a human and to love really hard. So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to get more comfortable with sharing my art again and being being seen by people, I guess, being seen by the internet. But okay, I think I'll read this one. Or maybe, yeah, I'll read this one last. This one is titled It's the Leaves' First Time on Earth Too. Neon green stars litter the purple fog sky, yet found she lies in wait. For where she goes and whence she's once began, there is no return. To think of the leaves in succession to their lost loved ones who feed and fuel their becoming. Are they scared? Do they wonder if they are good enough, that they are using their time here wisely? Do they know they'll lose the comforting hug of the branches uplifting their bodies, that the branches will continue to live long after they've decomposed? I wonder if they sit in their buds and ask to be at the top of the tree, or if they'd rather be below to feel the hands of humans who wander by. I hope they know they're not alone, that all the leaves will feel and know they're here, only here, experiencing this earthly life, being as they are meant to be, moved by the wind, warmed by the sun, admired in the spring, and longed for after fall. So yeah, I just started filling this up and I'm trying to, like I said, finish it by the end of the year. I've only done like this much, so it's not a ton, but I figured it would be fun to try to push myself creatively in that way because right now I'm actually working on something where I write a haiku a day, which has only really been going on for a couple of days. I thought about the idea maybe like 5 days ago, and I wrote a haiku, and then I didn't have any reminder to write a haiku every day, so I forgot. So I've only written a haiku a day like the past 3 days, I want to say. And now I have a little sticky note thing on my mirror above my desk that says, "Did you write your daily haiku?" So I will be writing more of those. But yeah, those are all the things I've been sort of working on. I mean, I'm continuously working on my knitting. I don't know where that project is. I just learned how to knit in like mid-March, I want to say, and I've been working on a scarf. So I've only really been doing that on the train, but that's another sort of creative thing I've been working on. And yeah, just existing and trying to make more art and find my way in the world and see what sticks. So that's all for me. Bye.